Welcome, mamas. Welcome to Mama Talk Live. I'm waiting for my co-host, Molly, to jump in so we can talk about today's subject because it's something that all mommies go through. So we're excited to talk about today's subject on getting the baby to sleep through the night. So we'll wait for Molly to come in. Hope everybody had a wonderful New Year night. Happy New Year. It's going to be a wonderful 2018. And looking forward to all the new good things to come. I hope you guys wrote down your New Year's resolutions and everything. Let's see here. Molly. Let's see here if she's coming here. There she is. I'm trying to invite her in. How come I can't invite you in, Molly? For some reason. Let's see here. Bring Molly on camera. Let's see here. We're adding Molly. If you guys hold on one second, and we will be on air. Adding. This internet is quite slow today. And my lighting is a little bit very intense today for some reason. Let's go. Hey! Yay!
Oh, technical difficulties.
Yes, technical difficulties. And I still have my lighting. It's like I'm way over lit today.
Whoa, yeah, you're really out there.
Yeah. I'm going to see if I can eliminate my light. I'm going to just eliminate my light completely because it's too much.
Yeah. Okay, we got it. We've got it. That's good. I don't know what's going on today with Facebook, but we are here. And we are ready for the show.
Welcome, Mama. Mama Talk Live. I'm Valentina Izarra.
And I'm Molly and Luna. And this is the place to be for all mommies and future mommies to be. This is where a Latina mamacita, an American mama, sit down to talk about all topics relevant to motherhood.
That's right. So grab your latte or your cafecito because it's about to go down. No subject is off limits.
Yeah, Mama, we know you wear a million hats, from being the best mama you can be to career woman, spouse, lover, best friend, mother, daughter, sister, all of the things.
Absolutely. That's right, Mama. So let's talk.
So today's topic, I'm super excited to talk about this because we're going to be sharing with you our go-to tips that helped us get our babies to sleep through the night.
Yes. And let me tell you, Molly, my baby right now is 7 months and I don't know literally what I would be doing, because my life is hectic enough if my baby didn't sleep through the night. And it is, I think, one of the toughest things as a first-time mother, because I remember with my first, like in the beginning when he wasn't sleeping, and this time around I kind of knew it was going to eventually happen. But when the baby doesn't sleep in the beginning and you're like craving that sleep, I think it's one of the worst feelings, because when you don't feel rested, you feel like you can't really do anything, right?
Absolutely. The first 6 months of motherhood for me, my brain was in a total fog. I was somehow still trying to run a business and be a full-time mommy, running on little to no sleep. That is until I got a few awesome tips that helped me, I don't want to say train, but essentially train my baby on how to sleep through the night. And now, thankfully, we are sleeping 12 hours through the night.
Woo!
So happy and grateful. Yeah.
Yes.
Motherhood is it's just so much. Like, just even getting here today to show up for the show, it's like,
like behind the scenes with Molly and I'm like, Molly, I haven't even really been able to do my hair today. It's like the fact that we're here is sometimes just quite miraculous because there's so many things. And on top of that, I used to have a nanny and we had to unfortunately let her go. And that has been made it even more difficult now. And so I was literally running I'm actually at my parents' house today. I had to run to my parents' house and like, Mom, please take care of the baby because I need to film this. And so my hair, so forgive me today.
You're without a nanny today, and today's actually my first official week of having a nanny on board. So
Yeah.
my things were like, okay, let me nanny where to go and what to do, and is the baby dressed, and is the baby fed, and the baby's crying, and like let me soothe her while trying to put my lipstick on straight and set up my lighting, my camera.
Yeah.
Woo, it's a lot, but
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So for any of you mamas out there who are struggling with getting your baby to sleep, Molly and I are going to give you individual tips. We've actually didn't discuss them pre-show because we actually wanted to be a surprise coming out and saying what it was, because we don't even know if we use the same methods, right? We don't even know if we use the same methods. So we wanted to share with you what worked for each of us individually, and then hopefully that it will help you guys if any of you are out there struggling with getting your baby to go to sleep. And because we know that once you do, you're going to be so much happier and you're going to feel so much more rested, and it'll be part of the way that you get your family dynamic, you know, back into play, and like sort of the way that you say, okay, now the baby's part of the family and now he or she is sleeping as well, and it'll just feel so much better.
yes, I'm excited to have this conversation with you, Valentina, because I want to know, like, you know, your babe is so young still, 8 months, and you shared with me he's sleeping through the night. So what is one of your go-to tips?
Okay, so like my first thing would be like, and you know, I'm going to say what it is. It's routine, routine, routine. That's what helps you get your baby down. And I know for some of you out there, because hey, I was one of those people that was like, oh, routine. I'm a very much of a, you know, spontaneous personality, and I love things when they come out of the blue. And I don't, I don't believe in like not taking the baby out of the routine, but in order for you to get the baby to sleep through the night, I think the most important part of the routine has to be at least the eating portion. If you get the eating portion down as a routine, then for some reason, like if you say, okay, this feeding at this time and that feeding at that time, and once you organize your feedings at a particular time and try, obviously, you know, you're not going to be perfect in the beginning. And yes, you have the ability to be flexible with the feeding times, but if you sort of stick to the schedule as best as possible, then I think that is what sets you up to the baby sleeping at night. So I actually read a book, and I brought it here. Here it is. Okay, so this is the book that I read, 12 hours, 12 hours sleep by 12 weeks old. Okay,
Ooh.
so my baby did not sleep the 12 hours at 12 weeks old. This is a disclosure, okay? It took a little longer, and I didn't follow exactly everything that the book said, but I do have to say that the book does have very good tips on getting the baby to sleep. And it helps you also realize, number one, the baby at the very, very beginning, like the first 4 to 6, no, actually it says from this first 6 to 8 weeks, it's going to be chaos. Like basically,
Okay, yeah,
you can't, you can't set up a schedule for the baby. I think the book even tells you before 6 to 8 weeks. And depending on the weight of the baby, because you know, some babies are born prematurely. So depending on the weight of the baby, you cannot like even attempt to make a schedule. But after those 8 weeks, so it's like after the first 2 months, there are things in that book that helped. So I would say the number one thing for me was the routine, to try to set up like an eating routine and try to follow it as best as possible. And then the second thing I would say, I have so many tips, but the second thing I would say, there's so many tips, but I think, go ahead. You tell me what, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm so grateful that you brought up the point that as new mommies, there's new mommies here, and I know there's future mamas to be who are expecting to step into motherhood soon. Give yourself some grace those first couple of months, because the thing is, the baby's been in your womb this whole time, and she doesn't know, you know, she hasn't got the light and darkness part figured out, and she's figuring out her neurological patterns and whatnot. So those first 2 months, just expect to not have a like, just expect to just be at her beck and call. So exactly. I would say, so I appreciate you bringing that point up. Unless there are mommies out there who somehow miraculously have figured that out, set your expectations. The first couple of months will be a little rocky.
Yeah, I always say the first 2 months, just expect, if you're a first-time mother, the first 2 months to not sleep at all. Or maybe not sleep at all, but not to be on a schedule. if you survive through the first 2 months, I always tell my friends this, you're going to survive through the first 2 months. They're going to feel like eternity, but it'll go so quickly, faster than you know it. And once you survive, yes, those first 2 months at least, because those are the real worst, because in the beginning, the baby's sleeping so little, right? Like sometimes not even 2 or 3 hours in a row.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
You know, for me, everyone's like, oh, newborn, like she'll sleep so much and you'll get some stuff done. And don't worry, newborns are really sleepy. Not Ahana. Ahana was like, she was born eyes wide open and she was like, I'm ready. I'm ready to live life. Like, no.
Yeah, and it depends on the baby. Yeah, so the first 2 months are really just like, you know, don't expect to be sleeping that much, and just make sure that you tell yourself, I'm going to get through these 2 months. I'm going to get through these 2 months. I'm going to get through these 2 months. And you will. And then afterwards, then you can slowly but surely start setting up that routine that will help you get your baby to sleep. What was the one thing for you that was like, oh my gosh, this helped me so much?
Okay, well, oh my gosh. I like the one thing, it's so hard. When the baby's really little, my midwife told me the baby was making a little fists like this, and she goes, that means she's tired and she wants to lay down. So knowing how to read the baby's cues and following suit. So whenever she would go like this, I just knew like, okay, I was going to swaddle her up and I was going to lay her down and give her an opportunity to rest.
That's really interesting that you say that, because my baby's cue till this day is he starts pulling on his ear. Like literally, Leo will be like, he gets tired, and as soon as he gets tired, he just starts crying, and then he just starts like literally pulling on his ear so hard that sometimes he like actually like cuts his little ear. Like I have to make sure that I clip his nails, because that's his signal for, I'm so tired, mommy.
Yeah.
But that's important.
Yeah, I think my first tip is just follow your baby's cues. She or he is going to give you signs and symbols of, you know, I'm ready to lay down, and to just follow their lead. Another quick tip that my midwife gave me was like those early months, there's a specific stage where they really do cycle every 90 minutes. So there was like this, like once I found out about this 90-minute cycle, It was beautiful. My days just got super easy, and you could like start seeing those cues popping off as soon as I got closer to 90 minutes. She was ready to go and have some quiet time. She didn't always necessarily sleep, but she was ready to not be held and just be, I was going to say set aside. That sounds weird, but an opportunity to go and rest every 90 minutes.
That's interesting. I have a friend of mine who's Australian, and she did the 90 minutes thing. For her, it worked miracles. For me, I have to say, not so much.
But it didn't work for you?
No, not really. I mean, what I was saying yes was because my friend from Australia, that 90-minute thing for her was like magical. She would set that baby down every 90 minutes, and it really did work for her. So, you know, I know other mothers who have done that 90-minute rule as well. Absolutely.
I think that, so the main takeaway point is like, follow your baby's lead. Every baby's going to be a little bit different.
Yes.
You work in Leo, but
yes, absolutely. I think that's very key, is tuning in, I guess, how to really be present with your baby. I think the more present we are with our children, the more we're able to calm ourselves too. I think with my firstborn, I was very like, you know, you're kind of like, I don't know, for me at least it was, I was very much so nervous that I felt like I didn't know how to do anything. So I think the baby read the energy, and hence, in the beginning, it was a lot harder. This time around, I was kind of like listening to my instinct more as a mother. And I think when we tune into our instinct, we're able to know and get in touch with our baby. And then the baby is calmer, and then they're also able to rest more because they sense that energy.
Absolute instinct. Instinct is so important. I think mommies don't give themselves enough credit to just follow their own inner guidance and do what she thinks is going to be best for her and her baby. An example of this is that a lot of the parenting books and the medical advice out there right now is to have your baby sleeping on her back. Well, my baby girl was a tummy sleeper. And so I just had to trust myself and trust her that I'm going to lay her down on her tummy. Now, of course, I made sure that the surface was flat and clear of any blankets and whatnot. In fact, I went out and bought this really awesome I wish I had it nearby, but it's a fully breathable pillow. You could put it all the way around your face and you can breathe through it. It's called a DockATot. And so I just followed her, and she said, I want to sleep on my tummy. So she said, and so, yeah, I just followed my instincts and allowed her to sleep in her most comfortable position.
It's funny that you mentioned the whole tummy sleeping, because
Yeah.
you know that in my generation, like, we all slept on our tummies. Like, and I know that and again, we know that that's not, we're not saying to put your baby down on your tummy, because the doctors, they advise against that. But I know for me and Leo that I also put him down on his stomach. There was a moment in the day, actually, I had a night nurse in the beginning, and at the very end of the morning, she would put him down on the tummy, even in the beginning, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it. And I was actually grew up as a baby. That's how we used to sleep. My sister and I, back in the day, that's what they would tell you to do. It's to do that. But yeah, it's interesting, because I think a lot of babies actually gravitate. And now that my baby can actually turn over and sleep, that's his preferred way of sleeping as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
follow your mommy instincts, okay, mamas?
Yeah. Follow your mommy instincts.
Safe and smart way, right?
Yes. Now, as a practical tip, I will say one thing that was for me. I think the number one, I guess, if you were to take one thing that was like, okay, practical, you could actually implement it as soon, was one of the things that they said in the book was to not rock your baby to sleep, or have the baby fall asleep in your arms. Sometimes, obviously, it's going to happen. And like I said, in the first 8 weeks, do whatever you want.
Right.
I did I mean, I held my baby those 8 weeks, like, because I knew it was going to be. Yes, absolutely. Like, how we say in Spanish, consentirlo. We just, like, hold them, and it's such a precious time, those first 2 months. But afterwards, when we're trying to set the routine, one of the things that I followed in the book is to put the baby down in the crib before but before he actually fell asleep. And that was one of the best things that I followed with Leo that really helped this time around. And then when he would start crying because he wanted to be picked up or whatever, I would just go, shh, and pat his tummy, like, gently. And then I would leave him alone. And sometimes he would start crying, and then I'd go back and go, shh. But to allow him to sort of be I guess, I don't know if the word would be self-empowered enough as a baby to allow himself to fall asleep on his own, and to know that he was okay. That mommy was right here, but I didn't have to be holding him for him to be fine.
You were encouraging him to find his own way of self-soothing. And
that's the way. Yes,
and I just want to say, like, as a new mommy, like, that was the thing I was so excited about. I was like, oh, I can't wait to rockabye my baby and snuggle her. But I soon realized that, I think it's about month 3 or 4, was like, as cute and little and snuggly as it is now, I want to make sure I'm setting her up for sleep success throughout her toddler years and her childhood, and
exactly
her adulthood. So I had to, be okay with, like, let me lay her down before she fell asleep, so she had the opportunity to show me her skills of how she was able to soothe herself. Valentina, I like that you also brought up the shushing thing. You shared your book. That was your, like, go-to book. This one was mine. I don't know if you can see it with a glare. Let me see.
Yes, but can you tell us the title? Because I just realized that when we show books, it's actually mirrored, so we can't read it. It's the happy.
Right. So the title is The Happy Sleeper, and it's written by Heather Turgeon and Julie Wright. And the number one thing that, like, saved me here, that, like, really helped set Ahana up for sleep success, in my opinion, was on page 64. They share the sleep ladder technique. So just really quickly, it's like these certain steps that you take to help encourage your baby to find her own soothing technique. And we kind of talked about them earlier, but we'll touch on them really quickly. So the first thing that you would do is, after you've laid your baby down calmly in her bed, if she's, like, fussing or whatnot, you just be present in the room. Let her know. You don't have to say anything, but just have your presence, like, be nearby so she can feel your energy in the room. If she's still crying and still needs a little help, then you would move up the ladder and you would start either shushing or talking to her. Say, hey, baby girl, mommy's right here. I'm here if you need me, but I know you need time to rest, or something. Or sing her a lullaby. Then you would move into the next step. If that didn't work after like 30 seconds or so, you would offer her, if you were a mommy who uses a passy or one of those loveys, which we didn't, so we skipped this step, but this is where you would replace the pacifier, or you would offer the lovey for her to snuggle in with. Then you would go up to the next step. So like
you didn't use the pacifier, just go. You didn't at all. Wow.
No.
Well, it depends on the baby. Some babies love it, and some babies don't like it at all.
Yeah, Hannah there was a time, because I was breastfeeding, and there was a time where I was like, oh, I really want to break. Like, could you please use a passy? She just wouldn't take it, but that's okay because now I am not having to like break her habit now that she's 17 months old. I'm not having to break that habit. So that's okay. That didn't work for us. So we skipped that step. But the next step would be that then after another 30 seconds or so, you go in and you just like gently touch the baby or pat her on the bottom or just do a little contact to let her know that you're there. And then the next step, before you pick her up, you would just like maybe jiggle the bed or the pillow. We had her sleeping on that DACA tot, so just gently rocking it, giving her a little bit of motion. And if that didn't work, then you go to the next step, which is actually picking her up and soothing her, you know, like cradling her. And if then that didn't work, then you would offer her some more food or check her diaper. And then you would go back through the ladder again.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously remembering to check the diaper, because sometimes it's funny, you don't get any sleep in the beginning and you're just like, what? And then it's like, oh, he's crying because he needs a diaper change. Oh, duh. It was like the stupid things like that. And then once that happened, it's like, okay, then the baby can sort of like soothe themselves again and sort of be okay. Because we forget those things, right? Because we're so tired that sometimes we forget to check the diaper in the middle of the night. And I know that that's always my go-to. Okay, I started telling myself, okay, first things first check the diaper and make sure that the baby's not. And still right now, like Leo sleeps through the night, and I think 9 times out of 10, if he wakes up in the middle of the night, it's because he went to the bathroom and then I have to change him and then he goes to bed. It's usually that.
Yeah, good point. Glad you brought that up. And I just want to say, like, this ladder technique, it sounds really simple. And I mean, it is logistically, like, it's pretty simple to follow. I actually made myself a sticky note with the steps and I pasted it right next to her sleep space. But I would say emotionally, as a new mommy, and like your hormones are just crazy, or at least mine were. And like when the baby's crying, sometimes it would feel like, oh, I just need to pick her up. So I had to really remind myself, like, no, this is actually important and it's good for her to have the opportunity to self-soothe. As painful as it was, maybe the ladder, sometimes I would get through it in 30 seconds or 60 seconds. It's better to try to extend each step, not letting the baby cry it out, because that would not work for me. I'm not a fan of that method, but giving her enough time in between each of the steps to try to figure it out herself. And I'm just saying, absolutely. It's not always easy as the mama to go through the ladder, but it's worth it.
Now, this book doesn't talk about a ladder, but what it does is it actually gives you, like, they call it like a certain, I'm trying to look through it. It talks about that there's certain things in your toolbox that you can have. There's certain things that they tell you that you're able to do in order for the baby to sleep at night. And I'm going to go through this, but also, it also asks you certain questions that you might want to ask yourself in terms of why the baby's not sleeping. Like if the baby, is she too hot, or is she too cold, or is she spitting up, or is she uncomfortable? Because a lot of times, also we find out that they have gases, and when they don't let the gases and we don't burp them properly, that's why they're not going down. And then we have to remind ourselves, okay, maybe the baby still has gases before I put the baby back down. Because sometimes that's what it is. They can either, it can be one, the baby might have gone to the might have pooped, or two, also they might have gases. That might be another reason why they keep crying. And so there's a list of things, and the list of toolboxes. I can't find it right now, but it does give you a list of things that you're able to do in order to get the baby to sleep. And a lot of those things really worked. And then it also gives you what not to do. Like I said, like, rock the baby in your arms. Or the other thing that I think it was the number one thing that the book advised not to do is to accustom the baby to sleep in those swings.
Yeah. Because you don't want them to get used to having to rely on that to soothe, because you might be out for dinner and the baby needs to fall asleep in a stroller, or you might be visiting your family's house and the baby's not sleeping in her crib, but now she's sleeping in a porta crib, or you don't have the swing. Yeah, that's important.
Now, it's not to say that you can't have a swing. I had a swing for Leo, and I had a swing. Well, Luciano is another thing. He hated the swing. As soon as I put him down on a swing, he was like, ah! But with Leo, he liked it. But the book tells you not to put them on the swing when they're tired, to put them on the swing when they're actually awake and they're like, you know, so that the baby actually enjoys
from it. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I want to share with you one tip that's actually probably unconventional, but I truly believe that this is why Ahana is such a great sleeper now. So when she was really little, even those first few weeks where like they just don't have a sense, they're just entering into the world, they really don't have a sense of time or space and light and dark and all of those things. So one practice I started implementing from the beginning was when the sun came up, opening up my curtains, speaking to the baby, telling her, good morning, baby. The sun is up. This is when we're awake. This is what we do in the world. We're up and we're going to have a good day today. And then when it would get dark, lowering the curtains and telling her, now it's night time. This is when we rest. It's important that we rest our bodies and that we sleep, because when we sleep, that's when our bodies grow. And I would even talk to her and tell her, and I still do this sometimes when she's really tired and she's fighting her nap, I will just say to her, baby girl, she's only 17 months old, but she comprehends so much. I'll say, baby girl, I know you came into this world with a mission. You've got things you want to do and to create. And I know that you want to have a big, beautiful, strong body to be able to do that. So you need to rest your body, because that's when your body is going to grow. And I talk to her all the time. And I really,
beautiful.
There's so many times like I'll put her in her crib and she'll just be like, God, like, I'm not ready. And I'll pick her up and I'll just have a quick conversation with her. Like, look, mommy's going to bed too. Mommy's body needs to rest. Your body needs to rest. And then she just settles right in.
That's beautiful. I love it. And I do think that the more we speak to our babies, they do listen, and they do take it all in. They're so much smarter babies than we give them credit for being. So all of those things that you're saying, you know, I absolutely believe that, you know, that she's understanding you from the get-go. They understand you. And, you know, babies at the end, they're like they are sponges of energy, you know, they just absorb whatever energy you give them. So it's so important for us to communicate those things. I actually love to pray with, since they were born, both of my children, I pray with them at night, and we sing a little, actually it's like a hint after we do all the prayers, like the Our Father and the Hail Mary and all those prayers. I actually do a mantra. It's a Hindu mantra, and I sing it to both of my children. And now my older son knows it by heart, and it's like our you know, our nighttime routine, and they love it, because then it becomes part of their nighttime. And it's sort of like my bigger one is like, Mom, can you come pray with me? It's like the thing that they love to do before.
That's so. You know, in some of these sleep books, and a lot of mommies told me to like establish a nighttime routine.
Yes.
And I was looking forward to that. I'm like, I want to rockabye, I want to read a book, or bath time, I want to read a book and do that. That does not work for my daughter. She is like, I'll like try to like go, look, let's read a book, let's snuggle, let's sing a song. And she's to the age where she asks to go to bed. She's 17 months, like I said, and she will go to her crib, ask for her blankie, and then point and go up, night night. And I'm like,
that's beautiful.
Night night song, and she goes, no. And I just lay her in her bed, and she's out for the next 12 hours most nights. I'm not going to say every, but most nights. If she's not popping a tooth, she sleeps through the night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's Molly, what we're gonna do one more time, just so that we can do like a little breakdown of like all the different things that we spoke about, one by one, so that we remind you guys, like everybody who's listening in, on the things that we discussed that were helpful for both Molly and I in order to get the babies to sleep through the night. So number one, we talked about routine, getting the baby into a routine, right? And like and putting that feeding, when you have the baby, in that routine of the feedings, it's easier for them to also get the routine of the nighttime going. Number two, Molly, you gave us the tip of being present with the baby and listening to the baby's cues, right?
Right. Yes.
So listening to the baby's cues and being present with the baby is something that we both actually feel is very important for you to get for you to help me out here, absorb, or at least get, trust your instincts, right? That's where we're actually going.
Kind of let the baby take the lead. She's going to give you some cues when she's ready. Now, I know sometimes mommies, this isn't always easy, because just the other day I was like, oh, I'm tired. Your cues, that they change. So yeah, just being present and following the baby's lead, and when she's asking for rest, creating that space for her.
Yes, and then 2 books that we both recommend that we helped each other individually. We're going to show them to you one more time. Mine was called 12 Hours Sleep by 12 Weeks Old. And yeah, it's a step-by-step plan for baby sleep success by Suzy Giordano. It's actually a Brazilian. It's a Latina mamacita that wrote this.
Nice. And mine is called The Happy Sleeper. It's a science-based guide to helping your baby get a good night's sleep, newborn to school age. So this is a book I still am referencing, because our babies' sleep patterns, their brains are developing, and there's every couple of months, you have to kind of tweak your technique to help them sleep through the night. But this was written by Heather Turgeon and Julie Wright.
Perfect. And then the last thing we spoke about was to set the baby up so that they're able to self-soothe and, allow themselves to trust themselves that they can, put themselves to sleep. And one of the things that we both said was to, put the baby down while the baby's still awake, right?
Yes.
Calm, not crying, calm, but awake. And that way the baby can, be able to draw upon those techniques or figure out the techniques for themselves as to how they're able to self-soothe so that they're able to fall asleep on their own.
Yes.
Am I missing anything, Molly?
My only other tip was talk to your baby, know that she understands more than you might think, and tell her the importance of sleeping, why the sun's coming up, why it's setting. This is your time when your brain is, deleting the things it doesn't need, and it's storing all of your new skills that you've learned for the day and your memories. And it's a time for your body to grow and be nourished. So speak to your baby and help set her expectations as to why sleep is so important for you and your household.
Absolutely. And mamas, we want to hear from you out there. Let us know what helped your baby sleep through the night. And if you're struggling, let us know exactly what struggles you're going through, and that does not, the things that don't allow, or you think are not allowing for your baby to sleep through the night. You guys can do this. You're going to get through this difficult time, right? Everybody goes through.
Mommies won't last forever. It won't.
It won't last forever. And then afterwards, they'll be all grown up, and you'll be looking back at them and like, oh, they were so cute when they were babies.
Yeah, and mamas, if you have some excellent go-to with other mommies, make sure to leave a comment below and share this video so that we can help other mommies out there try to get a little bit more rest and a full night's sleep. Oh, I think, okay. Okay, so we are here, Mom, notifications, so you can join our conversation. Follow me throughout, and you can
fertile time.